Activision devs do not play their own game. It's not your dad. Your dad doesn't support you.
You should know. You worked at a coffee shop, you stupid bitch.
My name is Casey, and absolutely not fucking Tanner, because my parents don't hate me that much.
Hey, did they have just 8 patches lined up, but they just didn't release them because they were on break? No, you moron kids.
Then we'll, of course, get into it. Change your fucking name and get scammed. He's feeling under the weather.
I probably won't say another word until Stay Humble, so have a good pod, Raz. I'll be here listening.
Got it. Well, listen, I wish I could have been like, we are live, and been all excited about the episode and everything, but someone in Tanner's live stream chat right now just made a comment. Tanner Dropshot, Tic Tacs fuck, man, is what this fucking idiot said. Let's be clear. Tic Tacs are fine, and that's it. They don't fuck, and they don't fuck in all caps. They don't caps lock fuck at all.
You don't like just little capsules of sugar? That's literally what it is. It's a little capsule of just sugar.
It is a little capsule. I like a Tic Tac. I'm a Tic Tac guy.
These are from
I'll take a Tic Tac. I'll never buy them myself though.
These are from Joey's bachelor party. You didn't get any of these? I mean, you were a late invite. They didn't care about you, so maybe you didn't get the little gift package.
Oh,
no,
Vegas
it was
incident.
For the for the groomsmen. So no, you didn't get one actually. Yeah.
No, I didn't.
So get farm. That's what they're from. I found them on my desk the other day. So I'm chewing on them.
Well, you
Orange
didn't buy
Tic Tacs
them, so
are
I
actually good
accept
though.
that.
You're right, Hood Dog.
Orange ones are the best. Yeah, that's obviously true. All right, welcome to the show. We are live. Welcome to the Dropshot, a Call of Duty podcast, episode number 237. My name is Casey, also known as Razinon. I am joined by Tic Tac aficionado and my good friend Tanner.
Oh, big stretch, dude. Hey.
Who is a cat. Because he just stretched and said big stretch to himself.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting thing to do on a Saturday afternoon. It's a great way to ruin my Saturday afternoon, is to say big stretch.
Mine's already
after
ruined. I'm
stretch.
doing a podcast with you, so my whole day's
Well,
ruined.
and about Call of Duty, really. My whole life is ruined. And welcome to the show. So today, first reminder, if you're new here, we timestamp the episode so you can skip to whatever you want. And so keep that in mind. Now, today, we're doing an episode about the current Warzone meta. And we don't do these often enough. Tanner was saying this before we started recording, and I agree. We don't do these often enough. And basically all we're going to do today is talk about what we perceive to be the optimal setups and guns and perks and shit, and strat also, kind of. But this is going to be more focused on like loadout, like the meta loadout right now. What does that look like? This is an episode we really should be doing more often than we do. But the other side of that equation is the Warzone meta sometimes is very volatile and changes a lot, like week to week. And we're not going to do this episode every Saturday, even though there are times where the meta changes every Saturday for like 3 in a row. And that's not going to happen. But we should still be doing these somewhat more often, and maybe we will. When this episode is done, if you guys got some utility out of it, let us know in Discord, in feedback, if you thought this was a good episode that we should do more of or not. Either way. And we will take that under advisement. So that is the plan for today. So for those of you who are patrons, or maybe for those of you who are considering becoming patrons, patreon.com/thedropshot, 7 bonus episodes a month, the best way to support the show. This episode is going to feel somewhat similar to a common type of episode we do on the Patreon, which is the Warzone Brainstorm. And in Warzone Brainstorms, we write down a list of things we are considering doing for Warzone or trying in Warzone, and talking through why those things may or may not be good ideas. This is going to not be that, but it's going to feel similar, especially with respect to some of the things we're going to talk about, because some aspects of the meta I am not certain about. Some things I am, some things I'm not, and we will delineate which is which when we get to them.
And maybe what you should be doing, depending on how good you are, how you play, etc.
That's also true, yeah. What is a meta loadout in some cases will depend on your play style or your skill level. For example, when the Type 100 SMG was meta, I didn't use it because I can't track perfectly 5 meters. So even though that was the meta close range gun, wasn't meta for me, wasn't good enough. So I used the Jack 12 fully automatic shotgun, and I did far better with that than I would have done with the meta setup. So sometimes that's the case. And we will, of course, again, distinguish when that is the case for a particular whatever item or perk or something. But yeah, this is going to feel similar to a Warzone brainstorm, but it's not going to be totally the same. And let us know what your thoughts are. Speaking of the Patreon, the last Patreon episode we did was, I still think it was the Tom Henderson autopsy, which we've already talked about. So just a reminder again, for those of you who are patrons, new patrons, considering being a patron, we talked more on the Patreon about the Tom Henderson episode, and I think it went extremely well. And for anyone who liked the Tom Henderson episode, I think you'll really like our latest Patreon episode called the Tom Henderson autopsy episode. It went swimmingly. So there you go. And now we're on to the new segment of the show that we actually have material for today. The dumbest TikTok comment of the day.
Wow.
Tanner, what is the dumbest TikTok comment of the day? And make sure to include which talk this comment was made on.
It's from a talk.
Thanks.
It's from one of the Tom Henderson ones. There's 2 comments on that video.
10, right?
There's 2 comments on that video, so you'll figure it out. It's one of the 2. Okay, this is coming from solid username here. This is from user 3908398870.
Love that. Keep it.
Here we go. Quote, "These guys are the worst." End quote. Solid. Short, simple, he gets right to the point, doesn't beat around the bush. Just solid, dude. I really like the basic comments like that are just simple. He doesn't use emojis, doesn't put a period, doesn't use an exclamation point. Just these guys are the worst.
Any time to do punctuation or emojis.
Yeah. He's never listened to an episode besides that 50-second TikTok, and we are absolutely the worst, yes.
And he has decided inside of 50 seconds that we are the worst, yeah.
Not wrong.
I kind of object to this being the dumbest TikTok comment of the day. I'm positive there are dumber ones than this, because I don't even think this is a dumb comment. I think this is a good comment. I like this comment.
Yeah, that's
Do I think we're the worst? Yes, but I don't think this is a good comment merely because I agree with it. But it's because it is just not dumb. Like saying, I hear footsteps fine. That's a dumb thing to say. This isn't a dumb thing to say.
We just haven't been getting very many lately.
Yeah.
So there's like nothing to even pick from.
It's really sad because I spent 5 hours making 10 TikToks out of the Tom Henderson episode, expecting at least one of them to do some numbers on the talk. And it didn't. None of them have yet.
Yeah, and I think we've come to the conclusion that people on TikTok are just
our
dumb.
Own views by clipping things out of context on purpose to have the hottest take possible that we don't even really believe. And then that's how you get a lot of views.
It's like, well, no,
I gotta clip chimp ourselves.
It's not even that. The highest viewed videos on TikTok always is literally just a weapon setup and some guy getting 3 kills on Rebirth in 20 seconds. And then it gets 30,000 likes, 4 million comments, and 8 million views. That's all you do is you just upload a clip. Here's the best here's Swag's meta setup. And it's like, yeah. So it's like, of course, people don't want to listen to these 50-second clips of Tom Henderson leaking and talking about the upcoming game because they're dog shit and they don't care and they're still going to play Rebirth on Warzone 1 when it comes out, you know? They're just dumb little kids. So yeah, I'm trying to look for comments right now. I just can't even find any, really.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you're right. So, yeah, we don't worry, guys. We have some real spicy TikToks scheduled. And we will be getting some a fucking bevy of dumb TikTok comments for Thursday.
I mean,
it's not
even. It's not even. Yeah. I mean, it's not even a debate. I don't. They're gonna get mad, but it's not a debate.
That's why I'm so excited.
6 p.m. tonight. I'm excited for our tweet to go live tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Pacific Daylight Time, whatever it's considered Pacific Time.
Yeah, whatever time it is. Yeah. So anyway, there you go. Yeah, so tell us more about these Twitter clips, Tanner.
Yeah, so I scheduled all the TikToks we have in Twitter clips last night. So we're trying to experiment with the Twitter clips, see if they get any traction. I don't know if they really will, because as I've said, Twitter does a terrible job at discoverability pretty much unless you follow the person. Like every once in a while you'll see something on your feed of like someone you follow liked this and you may see it. But usually you just don't. So we're going to see if any of these gain traction. But there's 3 clips going up over the next few days. I think 1 a day. Well, there's 1 going out tonight and then 2 or 3 over the next few days. But yeah, if you guys follow the Twitter and see it, I mean, literally just commenting and liking it will get more people to see it. So that'd be cool.
And retweeting. That would
You don't
be
need
great.
to retweet. I get it. A lot of people don't want to retweet. But even just commenting and liking does a lot. Because the shit that will come up on my feed will just be like, someone liked this. You don't need to retweet it necessarily. If you want to, go ahead. That's great. But just liking it and commenting does a shitload too.
Do all 3 and fuck you. How about that? But yeah, no, that's fine. Interact with in any way you feel comfortable. It would help a lot. That is the only way there's Twitter discoverability. So no one will see it unless you guys like, comment, retweet, and quote tweet. Both of them, that's not possible. Do it anyway. Make alt accounts. Make bot accounts.
And I think, hold on,
Make
I gotta
Tanner
see.
again.
I need to see when the one clip we're referring to goes live on TikTok. Let me check real quick. Was it tonight or tomorrow morning?
But yeah, for again, we are going to experiment with posting Twitter video clips. These are the ones that we would really appreciate interactions on. Because the whole reason is to get a fucking viral tweet so that we get more listeners. Duh. So if you want to help the program in a very easy and small way, you can interact with the videos. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, that talk's going live in the morning, and then I'm going to be gone out of town with no cell phone service, and I'm going to come back Tuesday with my phone probably just on fire, burning. I'm expecting thousands of
when
comments.
You get service again. Yeah,
thousands of comments. Mine doesn't work that way. Blah blah. Can't wait.
Yep, it's gonna be fun. So there you go. All right, now let's get into this bitch. If you were listening for the jingle, here it is.
Oh, your jingle.
How do you always get surprised when we're done with announcements?
Because you just end it so fast. Usually you fucking talk for another 20 minutes even though there's no announcement. And it's because my stream deck, I have to hit back, then I have to hit another tab, and then I have to hit the button because I'm on the scene where I switch.
You gotta make the button again, man. Make the button on the screen where you switch scenes.
No.
That's what I did.
Nope. Well, you have.
Or be fucking brainless.
Oh, you have the bigger stream deck too.
The bigger cock also.
Emasculated, thanks for the gifted subs to Stig Stonks. Appreciate that, buddy. Thank you very much.
Stig Stonks, huh? All right. Welcome. Now, today, we're talking about the current Warzone meta. Okay. And we've broken this up into 2 broad categories. Your loadout / setup and strat. And we're going to focus more, I think, on the setups. Because the strat is a more nebulous, difficult thing to kind of explain. We're going to do our best. But the setup is very easy. We tell you what to use and you fucking use it, and then you do better in Warzone. And it's actually that simple. Because many of you are probably still using kilos, automatons, similar just utter dog shit weapons, and you're seething that your KD isn't as high as you think it should be. And we are going to tell you, okay, well, that's a big part of the reason why. And now we're going to give you a meta setup, and you're going to use it, and you're going to fucking like it, and you're going to start doing better, and you're going to say, thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Now I'm having more fun in Warzone because I'm getting kills I used to not get because I was using, again, utter dog shit loadouts. So that's how this episode is broken up. And I will also add, this is more specifically the current Caldera Warzone meta. We may mention Rebirth. That's not going to be the primary focus of this episode, though. We don't play Rebirth enough to give you the definitive current Rebirth Warzone meta. I don't think.
Yeah.
But we will mention Rebirth when it is appropriate. But we're primarily, just keep in mind, we're primarily focused on Caldera.
Yeah, I didn't realize you wrote Caldera. So for some of these notes, I had already written down some Rebirth things. So we'll talk a little bit about it when we get to the topics. But yeah, it's not going to be a whole lot for Rebirth. And we will be doing a Rebirth brainstorm this month for Patreon. We already played a few hours of Rebirth the other day. We'll definitely play some more.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of, it would be our first brainstorm post 300 health change. And let's just say I was very surprised at my findings.
Yeah. Yeah, I had some conflicting game sessions.
Games.
Those were, I had good games the day before, and then I had games the next day. It was very weird. All right, so let's get into it. Setup. First of all, primary weapon. Okay, item number 1, the most important thing in your loadout. The correct answer, and this I think is pretty much not debatable. Some things on here we can quibble about. This isn't one of them. Use the MZ fucking 41, and it's that simple. It's just the best assault rifle by a pretty fairly wide margin right now, undisputedly, and so you should be using it. It has very little recoil, great damage range, pretty nasty headshot multiplier, I think, as well. Good fire rate. The only downside of the meta NZ41 setup is utter dog shit bullet velocity. I don't know how many meters per second it is, but it feels like it's probably 11 to 1200 meters per second bullet velocity, which used to be great on Verdansk. It's not great on Caldera, and you'll notice less than that. Maybe it is. I have no idea. I've never looked. But that's the only downside, and you can, with that downside, it's still better than every other option, by, again, a pretty significant margin. I played one game with it and didn't like it, and then I gave it another shot, and I played with it a little bit more, and I was like, okay, yeah, this thing fucking fries. It's really good. So yeah, this is just obvious and indisputable. What are your thoughts on this, Tanner?
I kind of disagree. So, and for me, I do think the NZ41 is far and away the best assault rifle. But I don't think that's necessarily true for most people. The NZ41, definitely close to medium range. It is the best AR in the game because it does have a headshot multiplier, whereas the Cal down STG that a lot of people use, which is still picked more often. I'm looking at Warzone ranked right now. STG is 14% pick rate. The NZ is 9.5. So more people still use it. You'll still notice, actually, almost all of the Warzone pros are still using the Cal down STG.
That's not what I've been seeing. That's weird.
Who have you been watching?
I was watching, I think, Huskers and
maybe Huskers. All of the controller ones, though, I know use STG. I was watching like Aiden and shit the other day. They're all still on it for some reason.
Huh.
But you know, they were
also using
they were on the
for 5 months. So.
Yeah. So yeah. The NZ is really good up close, really solid medium range, but you will struggle at longer distances because the bullet velocity is so bad. Like you start getting used to it more. You just need to realize you need to lead your shots a little bit more. But even then, you're shooting someone like 100 meters away, ballooning, they're in the air, going left to right. You're on the side of a hill. You're trying to shoot at them.
Yeah, you're not going to hit shit.
The NZ doesn't have a ton of recoil, but you're going to go into the 6x zoom. You're going to start missing shots. It ends up with like this weird spread when you fire a lot of bullets. So by the time you've fired 40 bullets, you've hit them 4 times maybe. And then your recoil is just kind of, it almost feels like it has bloom when you end up firing like more than half of your mag and you're zoomed in a lot. It works really well still when mounted. You just need to learn to do that more often. But if you can go for headshots up close to medium range, NZ41 like can't really be beat. It definitely is the best in that instance.
Which is pretty easy to do. It has very little recoil,
especially in 3 times.
Bullets.
Yeah. And when you're in the 3 times zoom, because obviously use a 3 to 6 on all Vanguard ARs. If you're in that, it doesn't have a lot of recoil, but the 6 you end up noticing it more. But yeah, if you mount, a lot of that goes away, obviously, as with all guns. But still, at a certain distance, couldn't tell you definitively what that distance is, but you will end up missing more shots with the NZ41 because of like kind of the bloom feeling that it has, almost, as I was saying, when you're firing full auto for a long time, and then the bullet velocity, you're going to end up missing more shots. So even though it has a faster theoretical time to kill than a cal down STG, most people aren't going to hit that at range because it's too hard to control. And the STG cal down has even less recoil and better velocity. So I still think for a lot of people, the STG cal down is probably the better option. But if you feel like you're doing...
Are people actually getting downs at 100 meters, though? Especially like average players that can't contend with low velocity of an NZ41. I just don't think these players exist.
Yeah,
I think if you're good enough to use an STG and full someone at 100 meters, then you're also good enough to just use the NZ41 and it be a better option for you at that level of skill.
I've just seen even a lot of people in our Discord have been saying this. They're like, I can't figure the NZ out. I don't like it at all. I don't get why people are using this gun. And it just seems, it is weird to use. And I do think it feels like it has bloom when you fire a certain amount of bullets. Like the first X amount of bullets have nothing. And yeah, you're probably right. It's probably the velocity. And it does end up having like this weird horizontal pattern. But so, yeah, I mean, for me, I'm absolutely still using the NZ either way. But, you know, if you do feel that the gun is like feels off or something, then just stick to the cal down STG and you'll do fine. You're going to lose gunfights at like 20, 30 meters to NZs all the time, but you'll hit shots at longer distance. Yeah. Yeah. And you mix those headshots in with the NZ and it feels really good.
Yeah, I think that I agree. I mean, the STG is still a good option for sure. And it's not
definitely
bad. Like, it's still good. You can do super well with the STG also. But again, like I was saying, I used the NZ for a game and hated it too.
I didn't like it at first either, yeah.
I think it is worth your guys' effort to give the NZ an honest try, the college try. Play with it for a full play session. However long you play in a day, 1, 2, 3 hours. Play with it for a whole sesh. And if you still hate it, then stop using it. But give it an honest try, because it does take some getting used to. And if you can get used to it, it will pay off, because it's better if you're as comfortable with it as you are with the STG.
Yeah.
I think that's our point on this topic. Another kind of random point. All these Vanguard ARs where you're using the 3 to 6x scope, which you should be, every single time you have the space to zoom in 6x, that means you also have the space and time to mount.
Exactly.
You should never be shooting 6x without mounting. Like, almost ever.
There's so many trees and places to mount.
Exactly.
And we've said, you know, some of the trees can be kind of gimmicky, but the more you start mounting, the more you learn. Like, you just have to go essentially around the tree to the right and then mount, and that's going to give you the angle. Your character model is basically going to step back and then mount on the tree, versus if you just run up right behind the tree and look to the right and mount, it's going to give you a weird angle. So you have to like walk past the tree. You'll get used to it, but totally agree with you in that. And that's what I try to do too. Cause yeah, you're not in a huge rush. Usually you're not already being shot at. You see someone running. You're like, oh, I'm going to mount right here, zoom in 6 times, and I'll farm these kids, get all of these shots. And it's such an easy thing to do. And still you like don't see people mounting ever.
I don't know, you guys gotta mount. Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. And here's the NZ setup quickly. You can get all these setups from Warzone loadout.games. It's a good website. Most of the setups I agree with, and I think are really good. And the NZ one is correct. Here it is. LOR MK1 burst barrel. So this is fucking annoying too. The burst barrel is the meta barrel on the NZ. So every time you pick it up, press your alternate fire button to put it in full auto, because it's burst by default when you pick it up. You will accidentally burst and die because of it.
Oh, yeah.
It will happen, but just put it in full auto. Make sure you remember. Anyway, that's the barrel. Orb Weaver E-Pack stock. 6.5 mil, 50 round mag. Stippled grip, rear grip. Brace perk 1. MX silencer, 3 to 6x scope. M1941 hand stop. Lengthened ammo. Perk 2, fully loaded, or Nerves of Steel or whatever. And that's that. So there's the setup.
Is that the stock? Is that the stock we use? The E-Pack? Is that the right one?
Pretty sure.
It's the second one down. I didn't think that's what it was called, but maybe it is.
And by the way, that stock whatever stock we use. I don't know if it's that one, but the stock we recommend is the one that gives you bonus accuracy and recoil control when crouched, prone, or mounted. And it's noticeable. And that's another reason this is really good, because like we said, if you mount, you get not only mounted recoil control, but an additional extra more recoil control from that stock. And it's really good for just being prone on a fucking hill or rooftop and getting even more recoil control from that stock. So you can even just be prone if there are no trees by you. Go 6x and you'll have very little recoil because of this stock.
See, that's
the stock to use.
That's not the stock we use. It's not the E-Pack. The one we use is the Lore MK3 SC. That's what it's called.
Which is what I said, yeah. So use that stock.
Yeah,
the Lore M3, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, that's the thing I usually don't agree with Warzone loadouts. Usually they have like a different stock that I prefer. Wrong. Yeah. The stocks are always wrong. Yeah, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's kind of building it more for ease of use. But the one we use, the MK3,
is fine.
The MK3 gives you, I think, the sustained recoil that you really need. That's what you get out of it. Because that's what the NZ has, is sustained.
Yeah. So there's the AR. That's the meta AR. Next, submachine gun. Well, secondary, but F's in the chat for shotguns. Secondary means submachine gun now. And again, I find the submachine gun meta to be as unambiguous, almost as unambiguous as the long range AR meta. The Blitzen, the Dasher, the Rudolph, the Prancer, the Dancer, the Blitzen submachine gun. Now, I never see the Blitzen in Warzone, and there is a very simple reason why that's the case. It is because the unlock criteria for this is in 15 completed matches, get 3 sliding kills with a submachine, or just get 3 sliding kills. You don't have to be using a sub. This, of course, in Vanguard would take you literally 3+ hours to do 15 completed matches. This is absurd. I didn't do this. And it's not worth doing. The way to unlock this, as we've told you, is to install Modern Warfare multiplayer, play hardcore, shoot the ship, or shipment 24/7 ideally, put on Overkill with a riot shield and a hipfire MP5, slide and get 3 low blow medals. It'll say low blow in yellow letters on your screen. And you don't have to complete the matches if you do this in MW multiplayer. So you get 3 low blows. See ya. Queue again. You can finish this challenge in 30 minutes. That's how you unlock the gun. I don't think everyone knows that, which is why no one's using the Blitzen in Warzone. And then you'll have the Blitzen unlocked. And then you will have a nice little treat, which is the best SMG in the game right now, because this thing farts.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this weapon?
Yeah. Blitzen, by the way, it is the second most picked SMG now. It doesn't seem that way, huh? Does not seem that way.
I think because of the bundle, a lot of people are like using it or something. I don't know.
Maybe that's why. But MP40 is still used more, which is absurd. By the way, Blitzen picked 4% of the time, 1.81 KD. 1.8. That's the highest I've ever seen on Warzone. Right? MP40's picked 7% of the time, 0.98 KD. Holy shit. Wow. But you know, that probably does go along with, like, since the Blitzen was a pain to unlock in Warzone Vanguard.
Only the dedicated sweats are going to go through the labor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But hey, you don't
makes
have to
sense.
be a sweat to load up Modern Warfare multiplayer and play
It's
for 20
really
minutes.
fucking easy. Trust me.
Pretty easy.
Yeah.
You can be a shitter. Yeah, it's not hard to do. Blixen, yeah, this feels like the most rewarding SMG
I fucking totally agree with this point.
that I've used in Warzone in a long time. It's just one of those guns that feels really good. The fire rate,
Yes.
the look, the feel, really good mobility. Recoil pattern when using the slate is... I don't know how to explain it. It's just some guns feel better. This is one of those. Like, I think
I totally agree with you. It feels so nice.
Like, I think the 3-line rifle is the most uninteresting, boring gun in all of Warzone. Blixen is one of the most interesting. Yeah, it sounds good, looks good. So, yeah, when you use the 54-round mag, there's a lot of ways you can set this gun up. The 54-round mag, for example, gives you a headshot bonus. And that makes it fun to use up close because you can theoretically get a very fast time to kill. I think just about the fastest killing SMG if you hit headshots. You're not going to do that every single time, obviously. But even if you can mix in 1 or 2 headshots for an SMG, the multiplier is very good for it. So really fun, solid fire rate. You can use it with like the no stock option, so you get insane mobility. And then you use it with the longer barrel. We'll give you the setup in a second. Nope, don't use that setup. That's a horrendous one. Okay. Use it with like the longer barrel, so that is going to give you better bullet velocity and less recoil. And then with that headshot multiplier mag, it's a good combination for being able to aim for the head and hit every single shot, because, or as many shots as possible. You're not going to hit everyone, obviously. But because of the rate of fire, very easy to do. You can definitely mix in headshots up close. Just like rewarding. That's the best way I can describe it. You know, like the Wellgun, Armaguerra, Type 100 are all still really good. I feel like I'm forgetting one meta SMG in there, but I can't think of it because I've only been on the Blixen. But SMG meta still, I think, is definitely more open and kind of what you think feels good. A lot of people think the Armaguerra feels really good. I've never been the biggest fan of that gun. I know it can kill really fast, but it just feels a little weird to me. I think the fire rate and like kind of like the jarring visual recoil that you get, even though it doesn't have recoil, like the slate going back and forth kind of looks weird, so I'm not the biggest fan of that. And then yeah, like the Type 100 is just kind of difficult to use. Wellgun's probably the most best all around in terms of ease of use and whatnot. After the
Armaguerra is
Blixen.
the most forgiving because it has the fastest fire rate.
Yeah, like I know
there's something to be said for that. That's
definitely.
That's a really good thing. So
yeah, I think I need to try more Armaguerra setups because I don't know. Mine never felt very good. I know Lag really likes the Armaguerra, but something feels weird with it. I feel like I miss a ton of shots with that compared to the Blixen. And with the Blixen low fire rate too, with the 54-round mag, like you can seriously down a team of 4 with that magazine. A lot of damage per mag with that sucker, which is very important in Warzone. And we don't talk about that a whole lot, but damage per mag is very important, and Blixen has a shitload of that.
Yeah, damage per mag for like 4s and 3s, especially 4s, is super important. It can literally be the difference between your team winning and losing a gunfight. Because sometimes you just don't have time to reload. There have been times, happened to Tanner and I kind of recently, we were playing trios with Jake, and Tanner and I, we talked about this story. We were at
and Jake was dead as usual, yeah.
Jake was dead because he's fucking terrible. The Fields incident. We were at the Balloon and Fields. We killed a team of 2, and then we got pushed by another team, and I think there were 2 more, and we killed all of them. And I didn't have time to reload once. So I used most of my AR mag. I switched to my SMG. I used most of that mag. Luckily, I was using that PPSH with fucking 85 million bullets in a magazine, so that was nice. But yeah, like that was a case where it was like I didn't have time to reload in that gunfight. So damage per mag does matter a lot. Because, you know, yeah. But anyways, yeah. So the Blixen, I agree with your assessment on how it feels. It feels so fucking good to use this gun. It's kind of I wouldn't say it's a slow fire rate. I would say it's almost a slow fire rate for an SMG.
It's about as slow as you can get without calling it actually slow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's slow plus.
Yeah.
It's a slow plus fire rate.
Yeah.
But it's also fucking chunky. That's why the time to kill is so good. Mm-hmm. Is because it's got like the fire rate's fine and it chunks. So it's like really satisfying to use and really fun. Easy as shit to control too. Super easy to control. And a lot of just fucking damage. And good multipliers too. I suspect the neck multiplier is quite good. I know the headshot multiplier is really good. I suspect the upper torso multiplier is also pretty fucking good too. And it just chunks. It feels really satisfying and solid to use. In addition to fast ADS time, extremely good movement speed.
Yeah, really
You
good.
can run fleet on this, which is a really nice benefit for me, for my SMGs, because that means you can be running around the hills of Caldera. And when you have fleet on an SMG, you can instantaneously switch to your AR when you see someone far away, which is a really nice quality of life and sometimes even life or death benefit to have, which is really cool too. So I love this gun. I do agree with you. There are other genuinely good options. And I do take back how unambiguous the SMG meta is right now, because you're right. The well gun, I think the well gun is not in the conversation anymore. I think the Blixen's just a better well gun. But the Armaguerra and Type 100, I think these are the other two meta SMGs at this point.
Yeah.
And these are all viable and like super good to use. I would say Armaguerra, if you really like a more forgiving, faster fire rate SMG, that's better for you. And then the Blixen, if not. And then the Type 100, I think, is kind of in the middle of those two. Pretty sure it has a not positive, actually.
Faster fire rate.
Pretty slow fire rate.
Than a Blixen?
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure the Type 100 is quite a bit better. Or
is it?
faster.
Okay, maybe
Let me check. I'm already on Sim. Let's check. Type 100. With no attachments, it's already better by 200.
Okay, I guess it's a lot better then. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the Type 100 is the middle ground. It's not as fast fire rate as an Armaguerra, but it's faster than the Blixen. So those are like the three options I would recommend to you guys. But the Blixen is our favorite. And I think a lot of this is the keyboard and mouse thing. It has like no recoil, and the fire rate and visual recoil is non-existent. So it makes using it up close on KBAM really, really easy. It couldn't be easier. Whereas the Armaguerra, as Tanner was saying, is jarring. That's the word to use. And when you're on KBAM, that can cause you to miss more shots than you otherwise would. And you don't have to contend with that issue with the Blixen. So the setup, recoil booster, the fucking 17-inch, the last 17-inch barrel, not the first one.
Last barrel, yeah.
Slate reflector, skeletal stock, M1941 hand stop, the last magazine, the 54 round mag, polymer grip, fleet, quick, and subsonic. That's the setup Tanner and I use in addition to everyone we speak to.
But I don't.
Some people run hollow point. That seems insane to me. But you
get
that,
like
I guess.
2 extra damage when you hit their arm. It's not really. I don't know. Yeah, and then for the stock, you can also run no stock if you want higher mobility. I do personally.
I've been running the Skelly.
I've been running Skelly personally. I know Jake runs no stock. It's going to add a little bit of recoil, still not a lot. But I just feel like since I'm using like the 17-inch longer barrel anyways, I'm kind of trying to set it up for a little bit more range. And it already has good mobility, so I feel like I don't need the no stock, and then I can hit people out to range a little bit easier.
Worth trying though.
Yeah, they're both solid options. This is a gun. Like True Game Data made an interesting video out that you guys can watch. There's like actually like 4 different meta setups, ways you can build this gun. You can build it for close range with a shorter barrel. You can build it for more chest damage with 36 round mags. There's a lot of things you can do. This is the setup that we like though. By the way, so by default, this gun has its headshot damage is 60. When you use that headshot barrel, 75. That's absurd. I mean, the EM2 AR had insane headshot multiplier, and that was what, like 70, 72? I mean, this is really, really nutty if you can mix in a headshot. It is very fucking fast. And like we said, it's easy to do. And if you get used to trying to aim for the head, you will mix in headshots with the Blixen a lot.
And here's another thing, too, to consider. Even if you don't ever aim for headshots, which I don't, I use the headshot setup anyway, because guess what? Oops, I hit a headshot on accident. Happens all the goddamn time. Yeah. So there are times where I'm not aiming for the head. I never do it with... I don't aim for headshots with anything except snipers because I'm not good enough to be doing that. I'm 30. But there are times where someone dies so fucking fast when I'm using a Blixen where I'm like, I definitely hit a headshot or two in that. Not on purpose, but I did. Yeah. And oops, get pissed on, I guess, on accident, smile. There's flinch, there's you moving, there's people moving, things happen. Even if you're not going for headshots, you'll hit headshots sometimes anyway, so it's worth doing that.
And then even neck, like you said, you'll get a neck shot and even neck, damage.
Exactly, yeah. So whether or not you want to go for headshots, this is a solid setup in my opinion, yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Insane setup for sure.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something else on this gun. What was it? Oh yeah, and the headshot mag. There's really not downsides. I can't think. I forget what the downsides are. What are they?
I use the 54 round headshot mag because it has 54 bullets in it. That's why I use it. That's a lot of bullets on a gun with this fire rate.
But it's not like it's decreasing your damage anywhere else. That's the thing. You get a headshot buff, and like I forget what the downsides even are.
I'll look right now.
According to Sim, there's nothing.
None?
It doesn't change the hitboxes on the arms,
it's probably just
extremities,
that it
chest,
doesn't
nothing.
Add chest damage like the 36 does.
Yeah. Yes, there is a 36 round mag that adds.
It's just you're not gaining something.
Yeah, it adds chest damage. It's really not that much. It's like an extra 5 damage. So like, yeah, you're gonna hit chest more often, but doing one headshot will do more bonus damage than, I guess you can say, 3 chest shots with that other thing. There's like kind of one way to look at it. It doesn't always work that way, obviously, but yeah, we like the headshot mag.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I think that's it for the SMGs.
Yeah, so if you use the 36 round... Wait, what? Hold on. If you use the 36 round mag, you do less damage to the upper torso, according to Sim. Why the fuck does anyone use this?
No, you don't. What are you seeing that? Their website's kind of weird. When you like have a item selected and then change it, it's like it gives you the wrong description.
I added a separate gun.
So what is it showing the chest damages before and after?
So let me tell you my methodology. I added the Blixen with only the 36 round mag, and then I added a different gun, another Blixen with 0 attachments. And the Blixen with the 36 round mag to the upper torso does 49. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right. My bad.
Okay.
I can't read. Yeah, so with the 36 round mag, you do 49 chest damage. Without it, you do 44.
Yeah. And that's torso and chest, not neck. Neck stays the same.
Correct, yeah. So there you go. So yeah, you just don't get that.
Just more, yeah, it's like you're saying too, having 54 bullets when we play almost always quads and then trios occasionally, you'd rather have that anyways.
Do it. Yeah.
Down a whole team with it.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. All right. Next. Perks. Perkendice.
Get perked up.
I'll edit that out. Perks in some sense are tougher. Some of the perks. Ooh, the air conditioning's on. Let's fucking go, dude. It's not even that hot today. It's gonna be though.
It's just been so humid and gross. That's what it is.
It's disgusting. Yeah. Perks in some sense are tougher. So, blue perk. I'm tempted to say cold-blooded, but I just don't see that as many people using Combat Scout as I think I should be seeing. Jake, who has been doing wagers and shit with Bandit, has been using Quick Fix as his blue perk. But Bandit, who's also very good, has been using Cold-Blooded still.
Bandit's using EOD. Laugh track.
Is he actually?
No, it was a joke.
Okay, I was going to say. I was going to edit it out. And I was going to unfriend him and ban him from the Discord. So, yeah, I would say cold-blooded if everyone I played against had a brain and used Combat Scout, but many of them don't. And if no one's using Combat Scout, then I guess I would say Quick Fix, even on Caldera. I would still ultimately say cold-blooded is just the best blue perk to use right now. Serpentine, I don't think is worth running because it only negates base health damage. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so let me just read what I wrote down here. So, first of all, Quick Fix. I love using Quick Fix for Rebirth. As we said, we're not really talking about Rebirth, but... Or, I mean, everything we're talking about so far is Caldera, but if you are playing Rebirth and listening to this on Malding and your Rebirth main, I do think Quick Fix is the best blue perk on Rebirth for sure. Constant gunfights, so that health regen is going to be huge. 100%. And, like, you don't... People either don't run Combat Scout on Rebirth, or you just don't need Cold-Blooded, because, like, you can't get wall-banged. You can get wall-banged and shot through foliage on Caldera, and you just can't on Rebirth, because all the walls are... They're prison walls. They're too thick to even shoot through.
Yeah.
So I haven't experimented too much with Quick Fix on Caldera.
I haven't tried it at all yet.
Yeah.
I want to, though.
I know one thing, and if I'm using Combat Scout, the person that I'm shooting is not running Cold-Blooded. If they're not running Cold-Blooded, see ya. Easiest kill of my life. I've come to realize more and more that, like, when we talked about the visibility in Caldera, and I was like, the visibility's fine. It's because I use Combat Scout and not enough people run Cold-Blooded, so I can track perfectly through all these foliage.
Interesting point.
You don't see them if you don't have if you don't have Combat Scout. So you can't track for shit through foliage if you're not using Combat Scout. So then you end up getting a faster time to kill, I think, oftentimes without you even realizing, just from running Combat Scout and someone not having Cold-Blooded, is because you're seeing their outline perfectly and you can perfectly track them because they're lighting up bright on your screen. Whereas otherwise you'd miss a shot or two, you're going to get a worse time to kill there. So I think that alone tells you how important running Cold-Blooded can be, because you could theoretically, you're giving people a slower time to kill because they're maybe missing shots and they can't track you as well. And then the other thing, Quick Fix, I don't think is as big of a benefit to lower skilled players. If you're not getting a lot of downs or a lot of kills, then it's like, what's Quick Fix really doing for you? That's the only time it works, is if you get a down or kill. So if you're playing Caldera and ending with like 3 to 5 kills, it's like, how many of those instances did Quick Fix even do a goddamn thing for you? Good chances, 0 times. So I think Cold-Blooded is the best option for almost everyone. I mean, don't run EOD. You don't need EOD on Caldera.
Yeah,
you should just
if you run EOD on Caldera.
Yeah, you don't need double time. Double time gets you across. You can sprint across Caldera. Double time will get you to the other side of the map a quarter second faster. Just stop. Run Cold-Blooded. It's going to benefit you. So Quick Fix makes sense if you're like super aggro, and almost none of you listening are super aggro. Like Jake can absolutely get away with that, and that will benefit him if he's like 1v2, 1v3. Someone gets a down, he's low health. That's going to benefit.
Kill race tournaments,
exactly,
which is what he's been doing. So
that will benefit you, because you're closing the gap on all those fights, which means someone else's Cold-Blooded isn't going to be as beneficial for them when you're only 20 meters away from them. So that's why having Cold-Blooded just doesn't matter, because he's just landing on everyone, pushing everyone, full chimp mode. So it's like they see you either way. Not having Cold-Blooded isn't really harming him that much. So Quick Fix I don't think is the move for most people. Cold-Blooded is just the best all-around blue perk for almost everyone that plays Caldera.
Yeah, and if you use Combat Scout, you know this. This has happened to me dozens of times, where I'm shooting someone with Combat Scout and they have Cold-Blooded and I don't kill them, and I'm 1,000% positive if they did not have Cold-Blooded, I would have killed them. But I didn't, only because they had Cold-Blooded. That's happened to me dozens of times. It has saved dozens of lives of my enemies. That perk. And there really isn't another blue perk that can do that. There really isn't. Quick Fix has not saved dozens of people's lives in my lobbies when I'm engaging with them. Nor EOD, nor, God forbid, double time. Yeah. So Cold-Blooded is probably, I think Tanner's correct. I think he made a great point about Quick Fix. So yeah, I would say Cold-Blooded. Red perk. Obviously restock. Pretty obviously restock. Tempered is good. On Caldera. Tempered's good, period. Ghost
Rebirth
is
or on Caldera? What do you mean?
Caldera.
You meant Caldera? Okay.
Yeah, everything. Tempered's is good, period.
Yeah, it is really good. Yeah.
And Ghost again, you will die to other people using Ghost sometimes. It's happened before, but it's because you expect no one to run it because it's not that good. And it's ultimately
usually it's
Ghost
shitters running Ghost.
Yeah, Ghost is not.
Expect.
Exactly, yeah. Ghost is not worth running anymore. So I think Restock is therefore just the best red perk to be running in your loadout right now because it gives you more tacticals, whether that be restocks or stims, which we'll get, or excuse me, snapshots or stims, which we'll get into. Either way, restock's very good in that case. And I think on Caldera, it is the best option. Yeah. But the conversation on Caldera, in my view, is only between restock and tempered. And I think I lean a lot more heavily toward restock because there aren't many times on Caldera where if you had tempered, you would have survived, but since you didn't, you died. That doesn't happen often on Caldera. Because usually if you're dying on Caldera, because you have no cover and you're not getting in a single plate anyway. So whether you have tempered or not literally doesn't enter the equation at all. And then on the other side, if you are in a long range gunfight on Caldera, but you are by cover and you're like one shot, okay, well, you have time to get behind the rock and plate twice, but you also have time to get behind the rock and plate 3 times. So like tempered would be better. You could repeak sooner, but it's not going to make the difference most of the time between you living and dying. So you're going to get more benefit, in my view, out of restock on Caldera. Yeah. What do you think?
I agree with you. This is obviously, we're talking about second loadout. On Caldera, you should always be running 2 guns and getting overkill on your first loadout. Duh.
Yeah.
Tempered is good, like you're saying, but in Caldera, you don't run into a whole lot of instances where it saves your life, whereas like on Rebirth, tempered literally will save your life all the time. Like, because you will always get in gunfights and you don't have time to plate up 3 times, so getting in 2 plates and being able to...
Or even 1.
Yeah, even just getting 1 plate in is going to give you more health.
Which is like a plate and a half. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to keep you alive a lot longer on Rebirth. So I think... Yeah, restock is definitely the move for Caldera. It's just so nice having like the snapshots right now. If you want to run stims too, sure, you can do that. But like the other thing is on Rebirth, you don't need 2 guns. You don't even need to get overkill on Rebirth. Just get an SMG and get tempered first loadout, and that's going to keep you alive a lot. Tempered quick fix, that's an insane combo on Rebirth, by the way. Pick up some guy's AR, pick up one of the million good ground loot ARs you'll find on Rebirth, and just fry with it. You don't need 2 guns, use an SMG. And so restock is ultimately the best for Caldera, though. And like you can find all these perks on ground loot, obviously. And there's a lot of people, I've like seen people on our Discord saying that, like, oh, I wouldn't even run restock. Like you find it all the time in like ground loot or something. It's like, yeah, but you can go 10 games without finding it, so it's still better to just choose it. Sure, you may find it, but whatever. You're better off just having it from the start right away.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I agree. So, yeah, that's kind of that. Now, yellow perk. Not perked. Perk. Yellow perk. The only yellow perk is Combat Scout on Caldera. You're literally not allowed to use other ones. It doesn't matter. It's not even close. If you're not using Combat Scout, unless you're sniping, you need to be using Combat Scout. If you're sniping, you should be using Amped, in my opinion. I don't think you get enough utility out of Combat Scout when you're sniping. I don't think it matters. But not that Combat Scout is bad when you're sniping. I just think Amped is a lot better when you're sniping than Combat Scout is. But if you're not sniping, you gotta be using Combat Scout. Just a corollary to what I was just saying earlier. I have gotten so many fucking kills because I'm running Combat Scout on Caldera that I simply would not have gotten without running Combat Scout. It is far and away the best yellow perk on this map. For AR, which is what most of you are and should be running. Like easily and unambiguously. There isn't even a close second if you're using an AR when you're using Combat Scout. It have to be good, yeah. But also, especially with a lot of these meta SMGs having fleet, where you can switch from your SMG to your AR faster than if you had amped, there's even less reason to use amped. So like Combat Scout is just, of course, the play on Caldera, and it's not even close if you're using an AR. So yeah, that's just obvious.
There's nothing else to say. I mean, what else are you gonna run? Yeah, the only time I would not run it, exactly 100% agree with you, is running amped with a sniper. Because it's like, if you're seeing someone and hitting them with a sniper, Combat Scout is not going to do anything for you, because you're going to have to rechamber around. You already knew that person was there because you hit them with a sniper. You're not going to accidentally hit them. You're already tracking them. You have a sniper scope probably. Like, what's Combat Scout going to do for you? It'll help you up close if you're using like an SMG, sure, but then Combat Scout is better for medium to long range engagements anyways. Helps you track those longer distances where you may otherwise lose someone.
Right.
And again, I already had Warzone ranked open, so I just checked. Combat Scout is finally the most picked third perk. For a while, people were still running amp. 40% pick rate, amped 30% pick rate. No, it's insane. More people run tracker than battle hardened. With like the snapshot meta we have, more people are running fucking tracker still. I would take battle hardened over tracker.
Yeah.
And
which is not worth doing, by the way.
And still, by the way, just so you mull a little bit, double time is still used more often than cold blooded on Caldera by 5% higher pick rate. What's going on?
So crazy.
What
People
is
just,
going
I think
on?
it's like, this is one of those things where it's good to be a podcaster. A sentence I've never said before and will probably never say again.
Please don't ever say that again, actually.
Because we actually, it's our job to like think more about shit like this. If you play Call of Duty casually and you are running double time, because if I'm a casual player playing on Caldera where I'm running around 95% of the time, double time looks like a good perk. Like, yeah, this is a good idea. I can move more. Like, it intuitively, this makes sense.
100%.
So I don't like, I get why people run double time. But what happens to these people is they die to Combat Scout and they light up bright fucking orange. You get a notification, an obvious one, that you're being shot by someone with Combat Scout, and then you die. And then maybe you even watch the kill cam, but you just don't think about it that much because you're not using Combat Scout yourself. Maybe you're using Tracker, which I get, which is a less intuitive and more irredeemable selection, even for a casual. And then you just are like, oh, well, whatever. You just don't give it any more thought. But if you are getting shot by someone with Combat Scout and you don't have cold-blooded, you can't hide from that person. You're so fucked. You have to get to cover or you're fucked. But if you're running cold-blooded, you could like run into bushes and actually just lose people. It'll happen. So yeah, you just got to be running Combat Scout, man. You got to be running Combat Scout. It's so good.
Yeah. One more thing.
If you're someone who uses double time, I'm pretty confident you also don't use Combat Scout. Because if you used Combat Scout and for a game and you were like, holy shit, I can't believe I killed that guy, I would have never killed him without Combat Scout. You would quickly be like, fuck, I got to be running cold-blooded. Because when I'm getting lit up like this, I didn't realize how easy it was to die or to get kills when my enemy is bright fucking orange. I need to not let other people do this to me. I gotta run cold-blooded. I gotta run it. So here's the thing. If you're running double time, don't even stop using double time. I want you to instead start using Combat Scout, and then you're going to come to the conclusion your fucking self, oh, this is really good. I need to not let other people do this to me. And then you will switch to cold-blooded as well.
Yeah.
Because you don't understand how good Combat Scout is.
I think maybe
that's what's happening.
I think maybe a lot of the double time gamers come from like big multiplayer or like CDL kids they would think something like that would be more beneficial. And you do make a really solid point that someone's very casual and they don't watch YouTube videos, they don't listen to podcasts, they don't follow up on Twitter with any of the meta stuff. You would think on paper 100%, oh, more sprinting speed. I would love to have that. But it's like, no, it doesn't matter. It gets you across the map a little bit faster. There's just no reason to have it. And Cold-Blooded does sound like a dog shit perk. I mean, on paper, Cold-Blooded probably sounds like the worst for blue perk when you really think about it.
It looks terrible.
It looks terrible, but it's the best perk, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And one last thing about the perks, just so you can get real mad. Hardline is picked more often than Tempered on Caldera.
That's so outrageous. What does Hardline do?
I couldn't even tell you. I can't think of it.
Is it
Streaks cheaper? Something cheaper? I don't even know.
Cheaper? Yeah. Hardline is cheaper.
Isn't it a little bit cheaper by stations? Yeah.
And Point Man is more contract rewards money.
Reduce it.
It's kind of the same thing.
25% off kiosk prices for kill streaks, field upgrades, and armor plates.
Yeah. What are we doing, guys?
Not surprising, by the way. The lowest KD out of every single perk in the game is people
really
hardline. Yeah, 0.33 KD.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Hey, you're not even getting to a buy, buddy. You're dead before you get there. What do you need? What do you need cheaper buy stations?
I don't know what we're doing. About that. Man. So you guys got to stop.
I mean,
but anyway,
I'm complaining about it, but please, hardline gamers need to exist so I can farm you and get easy kills. So keep doing it. And also, of course, don't run Combat Scout. I don't want you to. Keep running Amped or whatever. Don't run Combat Scout. It's a bad perk. Yeah. We take back everything we said.
Yeah, for sure. We'll edit all that out.
Yeah,
let's just do a false flag episode where we describe just the worst possible setups to get other people to start using them.
You just saying the word false flag was like a bat signal for Jaren. He's just like, what they say? They say false flag. Jaren's typing in Discord as we speak. After
Jaren's typing about Tower 7 in chat right now.
Yeah.
So,
shout out to Jaren.
Shout out to Jaren, friend of the pod. Fuck Jaren. All right, now next lethals. Okay. Again, this is interesting.
Lethals exist, yeah.
Lethals do exist. I'm going to start by saying this. I don't think any lethal is that relevant on Caldera. Hot take. I don't think it matters that much. I think you could run basically any lethal and your KD will not really be affected by it. Because lethals just aren't relevant that often on Caldera, no matter what you're running. This is not like running Combat Scout or not. That's a super deeply impactful choice that really matters, and it will really impact how well you perform on Caldera. Lethals is not that, in my opinion. I think you could run literally any lethal, and your KD can swing by 0.02 max. Like, I don't think it matters that much. I don't think any lethal is going to like drastically impact your KD one way or the other. With that said, we still want to pick the best lethal, obviously. And in my view, that is going to be either a throwing knife or a Semtex. I've been using throwing knives because they're fun, and because I play a lot of quads. And the bigger the team size in your game, the better throwing knives become, because the bigger the team size, the more opportunities your opponents will have to self-res, and the more opportunities your opponents will have to be resed by another teammate, which makes getting a thirst quickly more impactful in your engagements. Whereas if you're playing solos, you really don't need throwing knives. Because I don't play solos ever, but I'm pretty sure it's the case. And when I watch Iron play solos and shit, it's very, very uncommon that he is fighting two other people, where he needs to get the thirst on one guy right now, or it's going to change the course of the game. That is very rare in solos. Because if they don't have a self, you don't have to thirst them at all. And if they do, there's no one else around. You have plenty of time to just walk up to them and finish them. And it's not like that big of a deal.
Finish them off, yeah.
And jack them off for the finish, yeah. But in quads, that's obviously not the case. People can self, people can get res by teammates. So getting a thirst really quickly is super impactful. So Semtex is, I think, the best, if not throwing knives, because you can lob it over rocks and next to trees, and up hills, and you can place a Semtex where you want it a lot more easily than you can place a thermite where you want it. Now, you can place a thermite wherever you want it if you are Sir Isaac Newton and you're a trigonometry god and you have to aim and arc it fucking 380 degrees or whatever. I'm not using my brain. I'm 30. I'm not going to do that. Semtex is a lot easier to place where you want it. And the explosion does more damage than thermite splash damage, unless you stick the fucking guy, which doesn't matter that much, in my opinion, on Caldera, because I can't stick someone when they're behind a rock unless I'm Steph Curry. Unless I'm Steph Curry with the sauce, just arcing shit so high and landing it right on people's heads. That's never going to happen for me. It's never going to be the case. So I think Semtex on this map is the play, if not throwing knives. And I think it depends on what playlist you're playing in. The greater the squad size, the better throwing knives become, in my opinion. And the smaller the squad size, the better Semtexes are, in my opinion. But ultimately, again, I don't think it matters that much, to be honest. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I was in the other room getting water for some of that, so I don't know all of what you said, but I would still take thermite over Semtex, absolutely. I mean, with thermites, you can stick people, and you'll actually surprise yourself and get a lot of sticks with thermites. You really do. You'll just throw it in a window or something at someone, and you'll accidentally stick them as they run by.
True.
It happens. You get a lot of sticks.
It do be happening.
And so you can also, another thing, instead of like throwing knives, you can throw thermite at someone who's downed, especially if you see them starting to res, and just run away and start fighting the other teams. You know, it's not going to thirst them as fast as a throwing knife, but you have the benefit of having a lethal like a thermite, and then you're getting the guaranteed kill on that person. And a Semtex or a thermite stick is a guaranteed down. Fuck Semtex, I don't know. They're just dog shit. I've never liked them on Caldera, but I do agree with you in that none of the lethals are really that good anymore.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't really know. My thing is, you always talk about like behind rocks and shit. My thing is like late game in buildings. If I throw a Semtex in there, another thing Semtex kind of does is like confuse people because it burns and makes a burning sound, kind of ruins their. Yeah. Thermite makes the burning sound, kind of ruins their audio that already doesn't exist. If they take 1 point of damage from stepping in it, then they're lit up on Combat Scout because I'm smart and I run Combat Scout. And then that I can start wall banging that sucker right away. So you can kind of deal with Semtex too, sure, but Semtex, they're more likely to get away from it, I feel, than Thermite, because the minute it hits wherever it's at, it's going to start burning. You can get a point of damage pretty quickly, whereas Semtex, they can get away from it.
True.
And, all that being said, I run throwing knives now because none of them are that beneficial. And like with everyone having self now, because they added more selves to the ground loot, you find them a lot too. Like your whole team will have them without buying them practically. So when we're playing
before you get restock too, if you're using throwing knives, you'll always have it even without restock, which is important too. And thermites you won't. No one runs thermites.
Yeah.
So once you throw your thermite from your first loadout, it's gone.
Exactly.
Until you get restock. So that's another good reason to run throwing knives. True.
But yeah, so with everyone having self-res on Caldera right now, it is important to thirst as quickly as possible in quads, whereas like otherwise you can kind of used to be able to leave those people more often. But now it's like, if I'm in a close range SMG battle and I down them with my Blixen, before I even start looking at someone else, I throw a throwing knife at their body real quick so they're done with and we don't even have to worry about them at all, because that was happening a lot, is they were selfing. It'll fuck you in the ass. You'll end up dying that way.
Yeah.
Or, your teammate will be in a gunfight. You'll get downed by someone else. That first guy you downed will self, and then he'll kill your teammate. And it's like, if I had just thirsted him real quick with a throwing knife, our whole team would have still been alive. So when you get in those situations, you can down them quickly. And of course, the best thing of all is you get the prime, immediate, best death comms possible, because you down them possible. And I'm throwing that knife at them within half a second. So they're still yelling where I am. They're mad. They're furious. They're yelling obscenities. They're yelling racial slurs. A lot of things during Pride Month too. A lot of slurs during Pride Month.
A lot, especially during Pride Month, which is
I think they step
sick.
up their game in Pride Month. Yeah, as they start using
it really
more.
makes me.
You get a
nauseous.
lot more gamer words. So if you like hearing people mad and using gamer words, then throwing knives is the strat for sure.
That throwing knives is the meta for the freshest possible death comm. That is of course true. Which is an excellent point. And I think that is the biggest reason why throwing knives are the best lethal.
Yeah.
The most meta.
And in Warzone 2, of course, though, prox mines will be meta because they float on the water.
Yeah, totally. And then, but Tanner, what if you run Molotovs and you can get smoke grenades by throwing it in the water? I mean,
we should run both of those.
That.
We can set up a ambush in the river going through the middle of the Warzone 2 map. You can throw molly so we smoke them out. They won't see my prox mine sitting on the water. They hit it, bro. Yeah, that should be should be borderline illegal right there to do. That's pretty snazzy. I think we've already figured out the meta, man.
Yeah, that's a real cute idea right for there. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I don't disagree with anything you said about thermites. I mean, thermites again. Thermites are my favorite lethal. They are easily the most versatile. And I've talked about this. We talked about it on Verdansk when I ran thermites because they're really fucking good. You do max vehicle damage per lethal with a thermite. You can finish. It comes out of your hand faster than a Semtex. A lot faster. It is some area denial. You can also use it as a throwing knife to get a thirst. They're really good. I'm not saying thermites are bad. You should, if you want to run thermites, I think that's a fine option on Caldera. I just think Semtexes are better. But Tanner didn't say any. I don't disagree with anything Tanner said. Those are all fair points. I just think I tried running thermites for quite a while on Caldera, and I just never got utility out of them. And then when I went to Semtex, I did get more utility out of them. Me personally. Now, maybe that's just me, and maybe some people can use thermites more effectively than they can use Semtexes, then by all means use a thermite. It's not a bad decision. That's just my assessment. But yeah, I think if you're playing like quads primarily, throwing knives might be the play. Unless you're like a sniping team, then obviously don't run throwing knives because you're not going to be throwing kniving downs anyways 100 meters away.
I was, by the way, when I was watching Iron and Reed Boy
Iron
Reed Boy the other day, it's _Iron, yeah. I'm not kidding. They ended the game. Iron had like 9,000 damage and like 4 or 5 kills. I'm like, oh my god, sniping, man. So many downs and then doesn't finish. Oh my god, just all of them getting yoinked. Oh, the other thing, I just have like this actual deep-rooted hatred for Semtex because they take too long to come out of your hand, man.
They take a while.
Like one time,
now too.
Like one time when Modern Warfare 2019 came out in the first week when I was throwing a Semtex and I got killed because I was stuck in the Semtex animation because they take 4 seconds to come out of your hand. I'm like, nope, done with Semtex. I hate them, and I stopped using them. So I just have this, I mean, I was just born to hate Semtex. It's really that simple. So sure, maybe they're good. I just don't like how long it takes to come out of your stupid little hand. I'm an elite operator. Just throw it. Yeah. How hard can it be? Just throw it.
Without amped, it's even slower
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
It does take a while. But here's my thing, because that was one of the reasons I said don't use Semtex on Verdansk, because the speed at which it came out of your hand would actually get you killed a lot on Verdansk. On Caldera, I could pull start a Semtex and I would still have more than enough time to throw it on Caldera.
Just run around with that.
I mean, some guys behind a rock, it's like listen, I have enough fucking time. Or some guys in a room on the second story of some building. I have all the time in the goddamn world. I should maybe be using frags, literally. I'm not even kidding, because I have time to do that too.
Yeah, you certainly could use frags.
Dude, hey, I'm not okay. I was kind of joking, but now that I think about it, I'm actually going to try frags. Because if you can throw that in a second story room, frags do a fuck ton of damage. You have time to cook that bitch. And then they don't have time to get out of the way like they do with the Semtex. And then they're fucked. That's going to do a lot of damage. So maybe frags too. Anyway.
Yeah, someone unironically was running frags I was watching the other day. I think it was Huskers or Metaphor. I think it was Metaphor. He seems to run frags quite often. It's interesting.
You have the time now, I think, in a lot of cases.
Yeah. It's kind of, well, he plays a lot of solos. That's probably why. I'll say, why doesn't he use throwing knives? But yeah, I guess if you're only fighting one person, it's not as important.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, there's a lot of rats maybe in solos camping in bushes. You can like throw it over on there, land it right on their body.
Let me correct you. There are a lot of rats in solos. Yeah.
It's all rats, really. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I gotta cook them.
Yeah, cook
suckers.
them exactly, Pib. Yeah.
Give them a little like sear.
That's worth trying too. That's an interesting idea. I should try that.
Yeah.
So anyway, there you go. And now, lastly, for the setup category, meta setup category, tacticals. So again, this is not an open and shut case like a yellow perk. I still think snapshots is probably best, especially if you're running restock, which you should be, as we've discussed. But I have been getting reports that despite the nerf, stims are still the play. I have not tried stims once since the nerf to stims. So I don't know. But Jake and Bandit, for example, are still saying stims are better than snapshots. And I've been watching them play, and a stim has saved his life a couple times. Stims are not bad. They're not as good as they used to be, but they're not bad. But also, snapshots ain't bad either. And that's an interesting little counterpoint. Snapshots ain't bad either. And again, snapshots regen every 30 seconds. Stims regen every 50. It's a lot more snaps than you can stim with restock. So, I don't know. And again, I think this might depend more on your play style. The more aggressively you play, the better stims get. However, the more aggressively you play does not make snapshots worse. Snapshots are really good if you play aggressively or defensively, whereas stims are really good no matter what, but they're even more good if you're an aggressive player. They get positively buffed by being aggressive, and snapshots don't. Snapshots are just good an equal amount, whether you're playing defensively or offensively. I don't know if that made sense, but yeah. With that said, I think snapshots are probably best for most people. This is the one I am most unsure about, though. But I think it is between snapshots and stims.
I agree. It is up in the air. I mean, flashes are honestly really good right now, too. I get flash and kind of underused, but it's also because I
literally died to a flash. When we were playing trios with Jake, I died because of that flash.
Every time I get flash, I'm expecting to die. Yeah, because you can't hear and you can't see. It's not great for a first-person shooter.
It's really
fucking good. Disorients you. And then stuns.
That might be worth trying, dude. 30-second flashes? Fuck me, man. There might be something there.
And then, stuns too are still good. I mean, I still can't move my mouse at all when I get stunned, so...
Yeah, no one uses stuns anymore, but you'll still
They're very annoying. I'm glad people don't. So yeah,
I died on Rebirth to a stun, and then the guy meleeed me with the fucking batons.
Yeah, this is one of those things too. I don't even know which one's better for Rebirth. Probably stims for Rebirth, but I don't really know. Just because it can kind of get you away faster, and there's all sorts of little avenues and doors you can cut through with that little speed boost to get away and heal up or
there
plate
are
up.
So many ways to break line of sight on Rebirth that stims are way better on Rebirth than on Caldera.
For sure.
On Caldera, if I'm getting shot, there's probably not cover around me that's immediately available. On Rebirth, at any point, I can turn 90 degrees somewhere and break line of sight, which means stims can do their full heal effect. So stims are way better on Rebirth than they are on Caldera. That doesn't mean they're not good on Caldera, though. But
yeah. Yeah, so what you're saying, stims can absolutely be a lifesaver, yeah. It happens quite a bit when you want a stim and you have it, that's like, it's going to keep you alive. But like what you're saying about like Bandit and Jake, yeah, they don't care about their team though. Hey, they're trying to get themselves the most kills they can. Of course, they're not going to snap a house for me. They don't want me to get kills. They want to keep themselves alive longer, and that's why they use stims. My biggest thing, because I'm a team player, I care about my team, care about my teammates getting kills and us doing well. I so often, more often than snap for myself, I see my teammate pushing a building. They don't even have to ask me. I throw a snap for them. They're already jumping through the window. They know exactly where that person's at. That's what I do, right? So stim or snaps for me are really good because it can help me find out where people are, start wall banging. But actually, more importantly, it tells my teammates where everyone's at. And I think that's the biggest benefit. Sim's going to keep one person alive longer, sure. But snaps have the chance to show 4 of your teammates where the enemies are at and then basically make a push in and squad wipe, and that can be huge actually. So yeah, I just snap the fuck out of buildings for my teammates and myself because I'm the anchor, I'm the captain, I keep everyone grounded. I'm trying to feed people kills.
Repost the GIF.
Yeah,
we need to.
Will you? Yeah, so I'll feed them kills. I'll give them a snap so they can get the kill. Whatever, I don't care. That's fine. My KD doesn't matter anymore. It's never gonna get better, so I don't care. I'm here to snap for my teammates. So that's me. I'm the snapper of the group, and that's fine. I don't need stims. I'll just die, and they can buy me back with our $40,000 because we do contracts, which we'll get into next.
Which we will get into, yeah. Yeah, I think that summed it up well. All right. Now, on to strategy. The strategy for the current Warzone.
Just win. There we go.
Win. Be the last team alive in the match, and then you're gonna do better. You'll win more. So don't die.
Oh, okay.
All right. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for watching. Kidding.
Are you though? Basically what the strat is.
That's ultimately what the strat is. So, yeah, again, as I said, the meta strategy in Warzone is a lot more nebulous and complicated and difficult to pin down than the meta fucking assault rifle. That I hope is obvious, but if it's not, there you go. Now I'm telling you that. But we're going to try to give some strategy tips here and what the meta strategy is. And another thing to consider is, broadly, there are 2 goals by an individual when they play Warzone. One person will play Warzone, and their goal is to get a lot of kills, and they don't really give a shit if they win or not. So that will entail a certain strategy. And then another subset of people, I would argue this is the greater proportion of players who play Warzone. Their goal is to win the game, irrespective of how many kills they get. These people would prefer to get more kills than less, because it's fun to get kills. Everyone agrees on that. But their ultimate goal is to win. So, obviously, or maybe not so obviously, what the meta strategy for Warzone is depends on what you want. Do you want a lot of kills or do you want to win? Or both? And so we are going to talk about the meta strategy with both of those goals in mind. Now, to take the second camp first, if you're just trying to win the game, I think this is a pretty clear-cut, unambiguous strat that that is hard to argue with and is extremely successful. And it is this. Stay in the plane, open your map, look at the first circle, laugh and seethe at how fucking bad it is, and then curse Raven. Say, curse you, Raven. I hope God smites your studio. Because, of course, the first circle, whatever you're looking at, most of it is in the unplayable water on this map. So seethe about that first. That's step 1, which is unavoidable. So if you open your map, you will seethe, as you should. Step 2 is find either the infill event where the cash drops are, or a top secret contract that is super far away from that first circle and ideally super far away from the flight path. Land your character there and you will be alone. No one else will be with you. If you go a kilometer outside of the circle and a different kilometer away from the flight path and land on a cash drop or top secret, there will be no one with you. And then you can do a contract with under no pressure, get a very easy loadout and a lot of space and time to loot other things, ammo, plates, etc., and start your contract bonus going and get a UAV. And then once that's done and you've bought a loadout a kilometer outside a circle, fast travel or take a balloon and get into circle in no time at all, lickety split, because you can fast travel in any possible way on this map, which is something. And then you're all set up, and it was a very easy way to get set up where you did not really have to fight anyone with ground loot. And now you can take fights on your own terms because you have loadout, you have ammo, you have plates, you potentially have self-reses, and you started a contract bonus for easier regains as well. If you're trying to win, this is the play. 100%, and I really won't hear an argument about it. Something it's iron, twitch.tv/it's_iron does a lot is they will have one of their teammates when they're playing quads land on a most wanted that is super outside of zone. And then the other three will drop somewhere else where there's a ton of loot and they'll be done with that most wanted in like 30 seconds. And then they get a fuck ton of money. Every one of the three who dropped somewhere hotter than the guy who dropped in the middle of nowhere to pick up the most wanted, if they died, they instantly come back because the most wanted is done. And the guy who's in the middle of nowhere is at no threat of dying. So you're guaranteed to res all your other three teammates. This is a cheesy little strat that works extremely fucking well every single time I've seen them do it. So there's another thing to try. But these, in either case, this is a very good strategy to start your game on the right foot. What are your thoughts, Dan?
The money strat, by the way, landing on money, not a whole lot of people do that.
They really don't.
It's kind of interesting.
Uncontested.
They're surprised for getting a guaranteed immediate loadout out of it. 12,000 United States dollars every time. I'm surprised not more people go there. And usually it's like, I feel like good players don't land at them. Have you noticed that when we do have to fight a team, they're usually trash.
Fucking terrible. Yeah.
All the good players are hot dropping peak, I guess. So when you go for those money drops, it is a pretty good. I mean, if you land on one in the middle of the circle, there's probably 8 teams. I don't know. I've never even bothered landing at those because I know they get picked up right away. But if you land like outside of the circle, if you can find one at like a weird buy in the middle of Caldera, which is everywhere, the middle of nowhere, outside of the circle, which is again 90% of the map, and there's a buy within like 100 meters, you are like set super fast. There will be a balloon somewhere nearby. You can get into the action, start fighting another team while they're still looting and trying to find an armor plate, and you already have your loadout. So that is a very good strat. Definitely not used as often. Definitely not as contested as you would think that would be. Top secret, like you're saying, though, is a really good strat. My favorite strat recently has actually been going capital. Capital is a solid spot to land. It's either in the middle of the circle and the circle's ending there, or you have to leave within 5 minutes of landing capital and run 2,000 meters to get to the other side of the map to get into the first circle. But capital, with the abundance of contracts and cash, makes it a really good place to set up. There's helicopters that spawn there. There will be other teams there, even if it's way out of the circle. There's balloons. Every which way to get out of there, you can get out of capital easily and quickly. But it's just, the biggest thing is you can do a lot of contracts in a short period of time. If you pick up even a recon, if you're looking for a contract to do, you pick up a recon in capital, you're going to run at the most 150 meters. It'll be somewhere in capital. You'll do the recon, get a contract bonus going. So usually when we go there, we'll land Capital and get at least 2 contracts done in that first zone before we have to leave, because Capital's not in the circle, but we still got at least 2 contracts done. So then what do? You land there, you get like you get the top secret. Hopefully it's not a bounty. Hopefully it's something easy, scav or something like that. Do that as quickly as possible. Loot up all of Capital. That's basically uncontested. Get all the ammo, everything. Get specialists. Get every perk in the game. And you still have time to then do at least 1 more contract. Once you grab that contract, you have a double bonus going. Then as you're forced to leave the circle with a helicopter or a balloon or something, because there's so many ways to get out of there, you can land on a bounty or something on your way out, pick that sucker up, start heading into zone. It'll be someone probably outside of the zone also trying to get in. You can hold them or just fight them on the edge of the circle easily, and then you already have 3 contracts completed, and the first circle hasn't even closed yet. So that's, I think, like the best place to land, is because you can just knock out so many contracts in such a short period of time. It's just a fun area to be too. Like the gunfights end up being pretty fun there. Because it's like early game, people aren't ratting it up yet. So
true.
You get in like fun battles in that area. So I like doing Capital a lot. Do as many contracts as you can. I mean, we'll do anything. Like I'll do that all the time. If the closest contract's a recon and I barely have to run to grab it, sure, I'll just grab the recon real quick. We'll knock that out. It's easy.
Mm-hmm.
And like the biggest thing that I just can't stress enough, you guys have to do contracts. I'll watch some people stream. They'll land. They'll loot up a little bit. Just looting, doing nothing, waiting for their first loadout, get their first loadout. They get their guns. They have, maybe 3 plates each. They have $3,000 for a team of 4 because they don't do contracts, and I just don't get it. Contracts are such a massive part of Warzone, and you need to do them to get your money up. I was playing the other day. I think that was when we were playing...
Get your bread up.
Was that when we were playing trios or something? I don't remember who was with, but we were playing Caldera, and we were getting fucking farmed, and we were never doing contracts. So, like, we weren't set up for mid-game. We weren't set up for end-game. We had no money ever. One person went down. We couldn't buy them back. We couldn't ever get second loadout because we had no cash, and it, like, really made me realize, like, how do people play without just knocking out contracts right away? Like, you have to do them to survive a long time in Warzone. Because, even doing things like scavs, you're going to get a satchel out of that. You're going to get perks out of those crates and, like, good shit that's going to set you up for the remainder of the game. Redeploy extractions, gulag tokens, all sorts of shit. You just have to do contracts to do well in Warzone and stay alive. And
that bonus,
you just don't see enough people doing it. Yeah, exactly. You'll get a bounty. You'll pick up a bounty in, like, the third circle, and you'll get fucking $30,000 for doing that bounty. And then you'll be set. Then your whole team can get self. You guys can get UAVs. It's just the best way to set it for endgame. And not enough people do contracts on Caldera, and I don't see why. They're so easy to do. Half of them you don't even have to fight people. Do scavs, do recons. Anything to get your contract bonus going.
Yeah, get that bread up. I do agree about Capital early game. Capital is my favorite drop spot early game. It's so fun to fight there. Like you said, people are not ratting when they drop Capital out of the plane. Why? Because they're trying to get loadout. They're looting. They're trying to get anything. They're trying to get plates, ammo, guns. So no one's ratting in Capital in the early game. And in that case, Capital's super fun to fight in. And this is why the best top secret to do is a top secret in Capital off of the drop. Because if you do, you get UAV in Capital before everyone else. And now you also have guns, ammo, and plates. And you can farm because you're the only team with UAV and you have decent guns and plates. And these people don't know where you are. They don't have any perks. They don't have loadout. They don't have UAV popped. But you know where they are. And they're not camping yet, again, because they're trying to loot. So they are very easy to kill because Capital has a lot of cover. And when you know where they are, but they don't know where you are, you can get in a really good spot with cover and know where someone is and fart on them. So a top secret in Capital early game is the best top secret to do. It's really good. So that is kind of the strategy in general. If you are trying to excuse me, get a lot of kills, then what is the meta strategy? Well, I think it's about the same as it's always been. Now that there exists a high value loot zone and that it's guaranteed to be at peak, here's the I want as many kills as possible and I'm a chimp demon strat. You land at Superstore, which is now peak, because peak has more money than Superstore had when it was bugged, now that it's a high value loot zone, and a fuck ton of people drop there just like they used to drop at Superstore. So if you want to do that strat, drop peak, and if you kill all the teams there, you've gotten kills, and also you have, I don't know, 200 racks. So you have infinite money if you kill everyone at peak and then continue to pillage that high value loot zone that has extremely high value loot. High value loot zones, by the way, are not negligible. They are extremely obviously extremely high value loot.
Yeah.
There are pretty common specialist tokens, very common satchels, very common perks, pretty common loadout drop markers. There is a ton of fucking really good shit in these high value loot zones. If you are looting peak by yourself and it's high value loot, I'm not kidding, you'll literally get, if you loot all of peak, 80,000. I think that's literally an accurate assessment of how much money you'll get. I'm not even joking. I'm not even trying to be funny. You'll get 80,000 if you loot all of peak. I'm not kidding. In addition to, everyone has satchels, 2 or 3 self-reses, maybe a specialist token, maybe a loadout drop marker. You are so giga set. So I think the chimp strat, if you're confident winning gunfights off the rip, is peak. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, and then it's like, you talk about like high wins, high kills. If you're getting a bunch of kills, you're probably also going to win anyways. So like that's going to set you up. It's just the only thing that changes there, besides you doing a shitload of contracts, or that stays the same. It's just land peak or somewhere super hot. Airfield, you will usually be fairly hot as well. Kind of a shit area to fight though, too spread out for where people can go. But yeah, if you want to just get into the action, then peak, you have to be pretty demonic though to land and survive peak most of the time. That's what I found. Everyone insane lands there, so. Yeah.
True. That's the thing. It's obviously high risk. I don't fucking do it. I hate doing it. Even if you're really good, you can just get fucked by RNG sometimes. But if your goal is to only chase PRs, then here's what you do. Land peak. Try and be the team that gets lucky, that gets the guns before the other guy does. And then destroy everyone there, and then you're super set for the rest of the game, and then start getting bounties, which is the same strat that the kill whoring has always been. And if you get unlucky and die, even if you're really good, okay, well, all you care about is PRs anyway. Back the fuck out and queue again and try it again until you get lucky and then get the thing.
Yeah.
Pretty simple, honestly. Yeah. So I think that is the case. So, yeah. So, we have less to say on strategy because it's harder to talk about. There isn't a meta strategy that's super clear cut like there is for a loadout.
Yeah.
And also the recon strategy is just not as good as it used to be anymore.
Yeah.
As well. So it's a lot harder to say get good at the recon strat and then you'll win a ton of games, because unlike Verdansk, that is not nearly as true anymore because there are fewer buildings. And knowing where the last circle is always good, but it's less good now than it used to be. So a lot less good. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Other than that, anything else, Tanner?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We've never done this before, or if we have, it's been a long fucking time. So let us know your feedback. If we should start doing episodes like this more often, we can and will. If you felt like you didn't really get much from this and you'd prefer a different style of Saturday ep, then let us know that as well. We encourage all the feedback. And we will see you guys next week. Lot of fun and exciting shit coming up, man. Every Thursday ep is going to be pretty fire between now and launch of MW2 and beyond, honestly. There's going to be a lot of news and leaks
Yeah.
coming out pretty much every week. So now is podcast listening season for sure. If you want to stay abreast on MW2, Warzone 2, leaks, and official launches, you can get details on those things here, and you can get an assessment on whether or not the thing that leaked or was announced is a good thing or not, and further prognostication. And we've been very good at that. We have a proven track record, and we talked a lot about that with Tom. We talked a lot about it on Patreon. I talk about it every single time I'm vindicated. I won't let you guys forget. Don't worry. And that is that. So stay abreast, stay up to date with the pod, thedropshot.com. Follow us on Twitter, follow us on TikTok. YouTube's available there at thedropshot.com. All our links are there. The YouTube's where we have video versions of the podcast, video episodes. And of course, if you want even more, patreon.com/thedropshot is the best way to support the show. We do 7 bonus episodes a month, monthly hangouts, and more. It's a lot of fun. And the bonus episodes have been really good, in my opinion, lately. And so if you like the podcast, if you want more of it, that's the best way to get more of it. Patreon.com/thedropshot. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it. Thank you all for watching and listening. Have an excellent evening, of course. And as always, remember, stay humble.
Stay humble.